We're looking at things and we're figuring stuff out. That is our raison d'etre for today. That's how you say that, right? Raison d'etre? Reason for being? Pretty sure. Just adjusting this screen. Okay, so in the previous two videos, and there will be two, I was going to edit them together. I'm not going to. I'm sorry about that. I don't have any editing software right now. So, what you going to do? I decided it was not perhaps worth paying 30 freaking pounds for 1 month of Adobe Premiere Pro just to edit those two things together. So I'm going to upload them at the same time. But you know this if you're watching on YouTube because it's already happened. So I wanted to show you this screen because it's interesting. There are difficulty settings in this game now, which is new, which is cool. So I thought we'd take a look at those to start with. So this, I assume, exclusively applies to the player. Labor cost, material cost, provincial corruption from elites goes up. Autonomy from elites goes up. There's less base welfare. Now, hello Joyko, how you doing? Welfare is a system we haven't really interacted with yet. I assume welfare is a function of your life comfort and luxury needs, but I suppose it's plausible that it's just your life needs. I'm not seeing a welfare stat on this screen. Enrollment, social rate, fulfillment. Tax rate, and levy and draft rate. We're apparently drafting 46% of the nobility in Bursa. That seems high. Apart from anything else, isn't that all the men? Like practically every single one of them? Maybe that's how it would work. There's labor supply here. Yeah, so I'm not seeing what welfare will mean. I suppose that's a feature of the population that's not exposed. To quickly recap what I think we learned in the previous stream, there are a lot of small things, but specifically on trade, we learned quite a bit about how there are sectors, and sectors have stockpiles of goods, and trade occurs not between individuals or entities or businesses, but between things and the stockpile, and then the price of goods is unique to each stockpile, not necessarily unique, they could match, but specific to each stockpile, and then the stockpile's price changes based on a supply and demand heuristic model, I believe was the phrase that a dev said. We learned a bit about infrastructure. It takes a certain amount of maintenance. Not again? Yes, again. Absolutely again. Return this province to Rome. Never. Hello, Tiraj. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we can see the exact breakdown of religions. This is something that the Digracia, which I think is how I'm going to say it. Digracia, possibly. Digracia, I think, was how one member of the team was saying it. Hello, Gurasam. Tiraj, welcome, welcome. Oh, I can cycle these. That's really weird. Why does it take 4 clicks to cycle the religion tooltip? Digratio? I wonder why. But yeah, so in the... Oh yes, by the way, I'm streaming at 1440 because I have a 1440 screen. Hopefully that will make it slightly easier for you to read this text. Once there is UI scaling in MEIOU and taxes, and I don't know if that will ever happen, but that will hopefully happen when they update it to 1.3. Oh, sorry, 1.30, not 1.3. Then hopefully it'll be easier for you guys to read. But yeah, so we can see the exact breakdown, which is really cool. And how exactly we interact with this. Lots of that is not yet in. But we can see infrastructure. Okay, so religion has 2 components, institutions and entrenchment, and I've read a bit about this as well. Institution represents the level of organization of the religion. This involves the local clergy and religious buildings. Infrastructure can be controlled in certain measures by the government. That makes sense, right? We can burn down Orthodox churches, or we could build them and fund them, and we could invest in Sunni churches. Entrenchment is the intrinsic value of the religion in the province, representing the faith of the population, how difficult it is to convert them. So the Sunni here have a bit more infrastructure than the Orthodox, but much more entrenchment. Okay, so they're more committed, more devout. I wonder how we affect infrastructure, but I guess that's not really in, basically. Provincial administration. Okay, I've got more tabs here. I'm just going to report this bug really quickly, if it is indeed a bug. Because I know religion stuff is super underway still. Oh, I'm being asked if I'm on Alpha 20. No, I'm on 19. I'm on 19 every time. Yesterday we were on. Yesterday we were on 18. Now we are on. Now we're on Alpha 19. What was I thinking about? Yes, right, the religion thing. Appears to have 4 tabs in the religion tooltip. 4 tabs where there are 2 pairs that match. It takes 4 clicks. Button presses to cycle through the 2 sets. Okay. When will your 3.0 videos be uploaded to YouTube? Or will they? Yes, they will. These streams will go to YouTube. And once I feel like we have a basic grasp on all of the new concepts, I will begin actually playing. And what that play will take the form of is redoing the Ottoman campaign. If I deem the current alpha kind of ready for a full campaign, which I think it basically is. Like the main thing that's missing is the Digracia stuff. But the thing is, it'll be so annoying when in, you know, a month or 2 weeks they come out with another alpha that's like got more features and isn't save compatible. So finish autos in 2.5 and do something else with 3.0. I'm not currently in the business of running concurrent campaigns. I don't have the kind of time for that. No CP the Pope. Right, so natural features. The placeholder tabs have to have the same number. Okay. So the devs are telling me that it's because you have to have the same number of levels for each of these tabs that you cycle. So they have just 2 sets of 2, and it just shows you this one several times, which is fine. Do you know if the provinces are done? I mean, Great Modern All, but the 2.5 provinces look better. That Chaldeki is an abomination. They like wacky province shapes. I agree that I think some of them around here especially look nicer in 2.5, but I think you just get used to it. Like the kind of natural borders that you try to establish look nice, and beyond that, the actual shapes of provinces within it don't matter that much, really. Still a great mod. Oh yeah, of course. The obviously heinous one, if we turn off the Terra Incognita, is how do you say this, by the way? Troy. I guess it's like toi. Is that toi? I'm not. My French pronunciation is Troy's Vetches is how you'd say it if you're going full English. I think it's is it Trois Evêches or something? Anyway, I can't remember what the accent aigu on a E makes it right? 4.0 will have fully square provinces. It is Trois. So is that because the accent aigu on the O? Oh wait, there is no accent aigu on the O. Just don't? Or you just don'ting it? Anyway, so there's difficulty levels, and we don't know. I don't know what. Manicus of Tux goes up as well. I don't know what welfare is. interesting. So what is there? Hard, very hard, it's just the same. And there's easy, which is just the same but inversed. And then I guess there's easy and normal. And I have to imagine it's balanced for this. But maybe pop maintenance. Yeah, so the thing is, so let's look at population for a minute here. This is obviously a huge new thing. Is that the population is now broken down by class. And it's not quite class, like, you know, some of these would be in the same, what's the word I'm thinking of? They called the estates, right? The estates general, but welfare means how well treated your peasants feel. Is that something? Oh, maybe it's under here. Yeah, it is. Nice. Thank you, Basilius. Much appreciated. So it's here. It's the treatment. Ooh, and treatment is province-wise. Bonds of society that forge a societal order are often fragile, ready to shift at a moment's notice. Treatment represents the perception of the people within the province regarding the care and support for a given issue, whether it be the welfare of the masses, diversions of the few. What does that mean? Is that like treatment of minority groups? Spirituality, consultation, and hierarchy. Okay. First off, why is the hierarchy number not coloured like the others, like in red and green? Because it's below 1, and you told it to make integers. Music is a little loud. Thank you. I appreciate that enormously. I have turned it down slightly. Tell me if that's better. I assume diversions... what do they call it? The diversions of the few, or the specific concerns of a given elite. Because it's below 1? That would be my assumption. It seems like it needs to be at least a positive or negative integer before it's going to start kicking in. 0 isn't an integer, right? Well, actually, aren't integers only positive whole numbers? Is there a name for negative whole numbers? Oh, it's diversions, not divisions. I'm just totally misreading it. Right, okay. So it's like entertainment. Okay. They just called them negative integers. Cool. Concern determines the level of care of elites for a given issue. Okay, that must be on another tab. Influencing their loyalty to the realm, and thus their willingness to raise their levies in rebellion. Masses may very well cause unrest of their own, whether it be banditry from starvation or outright separatist rebellion. Okay. So we have... Oh, there are no multiple tabs on this one. Definitely hitting the button. Okay, I was kind of expecting to see the elites priorities here, but maybe you see that under... Oh, look, they've changed the icon for elites. Haha, cool. Nice book. So here, we see they have corruption, they have power, entrenchment, loyalty. Okay. Integers are all whole numbers. Oh, I thought it was just positive ones. Good to know. Thank you. And it does include 0. Can I see why their loyalty is like this? Sheeping Giant. That is a very strange name to try and read. So I'm obviously going to muse, and some of my musings will be answered by the team. If you're in chat, post your questions, and maybe I will attempt to answer or show you something, or maybe someone in the team will be able to answer. Obviously, you're not entitled to the team's time, neither am I, but they may. So the difference between nobles, burghers, clergy, and the bureaucrats is that the bureaucrats don't have loyalty, and they don't have wealth. Bureaucrat revenue, is that state revenue? I think it is. I should probably close this, but so settings are currently locked. I can make them unlocked. Which settings? Here we are. Okay, so when they're unlocked, I can use this, which doesn't do anything. Okay. Because I need to show utility decisions? No? Allows you to change the difficulty level. Or the... Oh, that probably fires this, I assume. Bureau revenue estate is indeed state revenue. Nice. Okay, so that does represent, you know, so we are the bureaucrats of the realm, in a sense. Of course, there's corruption, but You haven't set your settings yet? Okay, so this is the settings one. So what's the difference between this being unlocked? So if I set this to locked, I could never reopen it. I think? And I could learn more about the magnificent rework. Okay, so formable tags. Do I get a tooltip? Oh, I get a tooltip telling me what it does. What a well-designed mod. And you can tell, you know, do I want a bunch more tags, historical tags on it? Okay. Can't change your difficulty or the formable tag settings if locked. Okay, so basically there's no reason to lock this, as long as you trust yourself, is what I'm hearing. So, let the game begin. Although I suppose you might want to make it locked just so you don't have this extra decision in here. But, I mean, you could always just do that, send it to the bottom of the list. It's never going to be a problem. If there's one thing 3.0 is improving massively, it's with tooltips. There do seem to be high quality, high information delivering tooltips, for sure. Tooltipception, exactly. Exactly. Oh, I meant to join the M&T Discord, didn't I? The community Discord. So that, because I was encouraged to, it's a bit weird that these change. Maybe that's just because it's not finished. I would like it if the format stayed the same on these two screens, so the UI stayed. But, you know, that could be really annoying. Pel the God, exactly. I mean, they're all wonderful people, but Pel has done some exceptional things with this UI. Okay, so we were looking at estates and concerns and dreams. So what causes unrest? So essentially, unrest is caused by, when it says spirituality 0, I assume spirituality can be negative. One thing I don't know, or positive, so like here, the majority religion is Sunni. See, the mic is hosting me. It's not Pel. You're right, it's Pew Pew. I'm sorry. Spirituality is still 0 over here. Maybe that doesn't work yet. Maybe that's a Digracia feature that hasn't been done yet. It's not Pew Pew. Someone told me it was pronounced Pew Pew. I don't know. PP? I have no idea, man. Maybe Vasilius knows. Maybe I will ask more generally. I think it seems to me like spirituality is not a thing yet. Or maybe I have to let the game run for a tiny bit. So we will actually unpause. It's a miracle. The first day takes a long time because it does lots of setup stuff. But then after that, there's still some slowdown in the initial years, I believe. But quite a lot of it is concentrated into the initialization, which takes longer than it used to, and the first day, which takes longer than it used to, rather than getting kind of stuttering. As you can see, we already have troops, which wouldn't be the case in 2.5. There are some things changing spirituality, but not many. Anything regarding religion will be just very bare bones. Okay, cool. I may continue the Ottomans campaign on 2.5 until Digracia is in, because it seems so pivotal to that campaign. And then I'll just focus any time I actually spend on 3.0 for like experimenting with it. And there's a whole new event chain and lots of new flavor for the Ottomans, which are very cool, that we'll get into once we actually do our Ottoman campaign. We have lost stability, except we haven't, of course. We've gone up to +2. Delegate Tax Code. So, yeah, sure. Let's look into the tax code delegation thing now. Yeah, so what I think I'll do is continue the Ottoman campaign in 2.5 for now. The thing is, the longer I can continue it in 2.5, the more catch-up we're going to have to do if I switch it. So maybe I pause the Ottoman campaign and focus purely on doing tutorial content and learning how things work for 3.0. I don't know. All treatments are just related to the stance of the specific elite towards the state of the province. All treatments. Right, because those are different types of treatment. The local elite. Okay. And it's only elites that contribute towards treatment. Is that right? Because the masses can also cause unrest of their own. 3.0 sounds so good. It does, doesn't it? It looks good. Feels good too. Well, that's interesting. But yeah, I think until De Gracia is in, playing as the Ottomans doesn't make much sense, because we were going to be like, you know, a historical but ahistorical Ottomans who were super religiously intolerant, but also kind of locked to historical borders and things, which would have been fun and interesting. But it kind of needs religion functioning fully to be most interesting. Or it seems like a bit of a waste of an Ottoman campaign, because I'm not likely to do 2 campaigns as the same nation. I ain't Lambert. So let's take a look at this Delegation Tax Code, and let's take a look at tax. Tax is one of the big changes, certainly one of the surface level most obvious changes, which is that now your income, both in terms of money and manpower, comes entirely familial estates. I don't know what that means. Familial estates. Is that the base income, or is that from a privilege? I should, you know what I should do? I should have the M&T files open on another screen so that I can search things. E4, don't mind me. This is me peering. In case it's not obvious why I'm leaning, I'm peering under my microphone. Taxes. That one. Familial estates is base. Okay, cool. So that I won't have to search, but it's a good idea to have the files open regardless. Okay, so that's base. So apart from a base, which is relatively small, has that changed? Don't remember. It's all going to come from taxes, because when it says from province, this number, state underscore MP val underscore 001. So this is a doubling system, which allows them to give you certain numbers, right? So it can give you, there are different modifiers, one which gives you 1, one that gives you 2, 0 point, that is, 1, 2, 4, etc. Which is how they give you values in M&T. In the same way you can see here, we're getting corruption in a similar way. It's binary addition. Yeah, I don't understand the actual coding behind why that is a good way to do it. But of course, I have faith that it is. But that's just, so when it says state, why stat? Is that short for state? Oh, because that's the manpower I'm getting, not the manpower available to other people. It's not a good way to do it, it's just simply impossible otherwise. Right, fair enough. A good choice to do it that way is what I mean. So our intolerance is lowering it by 2.5. Well, okay. I think I will basically not look into any religious stuff, because everything will change and it's all unfinished. So we'll ignore that. Because it's a stat. It's literally just stat. Okay, right. The stat for corruption, 0.64. That's funny. What are we looking at? Yeah, so that number, I'm pretty sure I can't... Oh, wait, is it here? It might be here. Military, look, size 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Oh, but not some 0 here. So what was that was low? So right now there's the feudal levy, the peasant levy. Should these be on 2 different lines? Like, is the peasant levy and noble knights part of the feudal levy? I'm assuming yes. They're spending 4.887. No to which question, sorry. What you're seeing there is all the feudal levy. Okay, cool, good. So it should be on a separate line, because when I say separate line, I mean indented. So it's not feudal levy, peasant levy, noble knights. It's feudal levy containing peasant levy, noble knights. Yeah. Shows it's spending, and then the troops it's raising. Okay, and so when this says, you know, feudal levy, such and such, is this the troops available to the feudal people? Or is this the quantity that I'm getting off them? It's already indented, though? Yes, yes. What I was asking was, is it intended to be indented? Because it looked like it wasn't, but now I think it does look like it is supposed to. Okay, and when it has those icons, those map to... Well, one of them maps the noble icon, but maybe that's just to demonstrate that's where they're kind of coming from. It's the currently raised troops. And what the nobles are paying for it. Okay, and raised troops. So this is a useful feature for you in chat who may not know this. Raised troops, which are what need paying for when you pay your armies, includes your manpower pool and all your men. And they need paying for in the form of just military goods. What do they need? Can I see that in here? You have to spend on training and recruitment. So all the expenses here seem to be training. Is training... I'm assuming training is upkeep, just all upkeep. You can't see the goods right now. Okay, fair enough. But basically, I'm assuming they need military goods as well as food. Training raises troops' skill. Okay. So there's no, so the upkeep costs aren't shown here, because the only expense being shown for the feudal levy is training. Presumably they're also spending money on food and other goods that the troops need. In the country, there's a skill modifier that is the aggregate of your manpower skill. Okay. Sounds cool. Yeah, let's take a look at some of these modifiers. We are a kingdom. That's the same as before. We overcame the Sultanate of Rum. That might be different. I think that's weaker than before. Unless we also have a triggered modifier. I think that's weaker than before. That's interesting. We have tribal origins. Ooh. Though our origins are humble, we have reached well beyond our homeland and established the strongest Beylik in Anatolia. While our army has expanded beyond our nomadic origins in the Kai tribe. Kai tribe? I didn't know that that was the name of the original, like not the original, but one of the progenitors to the, one of the Turkic tribes which established the Ottomans. That's really cool. A strong, experienced contingent of nomadic old guard remains in our forces, a remnant of a time since past. Increases recruitment options from nomads. Enables increased recruitment from nomads, and it lasts 10 years from game start. Interesting. The Protomans, that's really good. Okay, admin tech. I'm assuming this is just as you get more and more admin tech, you slowly get more and more benefits, and it's easier to put them here than to try and kind of build them into stuff here. Or maybe it's impossible to build them into things here. Cool. Diplotech, same story. Miltech, same story, I have to imagine. Strict regimen. Okay, is this skill? What is this derived from? Strict regimen. I don't think I can see anything about the military in any of these tabs, really. Tax code, infrastructure. I mean, there are many things. Simply impossible to build them in. Yeah, makes sense. You see the extra bonus in the next tech view. Oh, if you look at the tooltip. Oh, yes. Okay, so this gives you stability increase interval, naval force limit modifier. This one gives you nothing yet, but of course it still gives you that one. Cool, nice. It should be strict regimen. Last time I looked, it had no localization. Yeah, it's strict regimen, which is what it says right now. Wait, that's not how you spell regimen, is it? Is that meant to mean? Is that meant to mean something else, or am I just? I read words like as I expect them to be sometimes, a lot of the time. And is that okay? So that is the feature because of the average skill of all the troops in our manpower pool, which includes peasant conscripts, urban conscripts, aristocratic officers, metropolitan officers, clerical officers, peasant levy, and noble knights from within the feudal levy. Local citizens hired captains, although in this case there aren't actually any of those, from the citizens' militia. And then tribal hosts, which consist of rural clans, urban clans, nomadic horde, rural chiefs, urban chiefs, shamans. Okay. The average skill of manpower. Right, nice. Can I see that anywhere? Can I see the different levels and what causes them? I'm guessing that's not in yet. I don't think I've seen that anywhere. Not yet. Fair play, fair play. Right, let's keep going through these. Anatolian power. We are a major power. Share of Anatolian development, 23%. Share of all Beylik development, 24.2%. Interesting. Why are those numbers different? Because the Beyliks don't own all of Anatolia, of course. Executive authority. So we talked about this on the last stream. This is the balance between the power of the institutions of state and the power of the head of state. And the two kind of fight it out to see who is going to contribute, whose stats matter more to contribute towards monarch point generation. If it was 100% ruler authority, then you would generate purely monarch points based on your monarch points of your ruler. And if it was 100% institutional authority, it would be a 4-4-4 mana generation base. Cool. Because you own dev outside of Anatolia? Do I? Oh yeah, right, of course. This one. It's Gallipoli. It's not... Gallipoli is just the strait, right? Is the peninsula called something different, or is the state itself also called Gallipoli? I don't know, I mean it's called Gelibolu, if we want to use the name here, but... So that's executive authority. Factions right now don't have any factions, but I have them here. Maybe that's because this hasn't updated, or maybe because this isn't done. The factions is something we touched on briefly near the end of yesterday's stream, but it was getting pretty late. I'm assuming these tooltips are... Well, that one's not totally uninformative. But it seems to me, in general, these tooltips are not designed to tell you information. They're mostly meant to just, you know... The inertia ones, you're basically just meant to go and look for what's causing those? Or is inertia actually just inertia here, maybe? Gallipoli is the name of the city. Ooh. Has the offensive war changed? I seem to recall you weren't the biggest fan of that. I don't know, actually. Maybe Basileus can tell us, or maybe we could test it. We'd have to wait till February. We might have to unpause more to get to February. Beylik diplomacy. Every ruler of our Beylik faces the choice. Every ruler of our Beylik faces a choice. Deciding on diplomatic strategy. Oh, like each monarch we have. Okay. I think each might be a better word to use here, but anyway, doesn't matter. Deciding our diplomatic strategy for the Anatolian power struggle for the course of their reign. We could begin a systematic effort to acquire new lands, balance be damned, or we could follow a path of peace in Anatolia, focusing our efforts instead on the enemies and infidels abroad. Anatolia will be ours. We'll be able to launch wars for claims and cause on Beyliks at the risk of all changes in development share, raising our risk of a coalition. Okay, so if we get to, like, if the Beyliks get scared, they might band together. We will not, or we will focus on our efforts abroad. We will not gain any aggressive expansion for changes in development share, allowing us to focus on internal development and just war. What's it called? Ipsus belli? I've forgotten now. Oh, I have to know this. What's the Latin? Jus bellum? Jus bellum? Is that it? Can't remember. Jus bellum justum. Well, the justum is the theory part, but yeah, right. Okay, cool. Offensive war is currently gone. Good. Okay. So that's interesting. Well, I mean, it won't matter, obviously, so we'll just go. Anatolia will be ours. I wonder if that changes the Anatolian monitor. Whatever it's called. Modifier. Why has it crashed? Oh, I am on pause, right. As a general rule, I think one should... What the heck? That was a great graphical bug. Did you see that? The smoke all suddenly teleported way up in the air. That is pretty funny. Because it was hanging for so long. This just flew up into the air. I have to clip that. Let me, excuse me while I go on my own stream to clip this. Or maybe somebody in chat could. I mean, it wasn't that impressive, but it was just weird. Where's the Beylik thing gone? There it is, Anatolian power. Doesn't seem to have changed this, I don't think. You all missed it? Well, sucks to be you then. Maybe it was more apparent on my new nice large screen. I should keep YouTubers questions open over here in case. So, that's what executive authority, factions, privilege desires. Okay, desire represents the given power broker's desire to gain new privileges. It increases based on how powerful they are compared to other power brokers, and decreases based on how much privilege they already have. It can also be temporarily decreased by granting privileges or anything of equivalent value. Freaking out over smoke. I wanna see this clip and see if it caught it. As a general rule, I think one should. What the heck? Yeah, watch that clip at 5 seconds in there. That was. What the heck? There's a bunch of random smoke that suddenly bursts out. Actually, it starts at 3 seconds. What the heck? That was a great graphical bug. That is pretty funny. Anyway. Executive authority. Okay, so privilege desires. Equilibrium minus 39.4. That sounds unlikely. It's trending towards negative desire. From power from privileges. Equilibrium minus. What does it mean, negative 39? I mean, that's very similar to the from power number, so you'd think it was going to trend towards 39. The clergy's... Maybe when desire gets lower? This is a bizarre tooltip. The desire... So we're just looking at the nobles. They have 0 from privileges. Maybe we need to let it run a bit more, because the nobles definitely have some privileges. Hey, Blazon. Evening. Ah, I'm assuming Blazon. Are you... There's a dev called Blazon, isn't there? Or is that Fire? Or am I just talking nonsense? I swear I saw a Blazon. Yeah. Oh, Blazon, you're another content creator. Cool. So this privilege desire, the nobles have 62.7 right now, which is going to trend down towards their power 1, I assume. I think we need to let time tick a bit for this tooltip to start making more sense. Advisor test. Right. So I think this is when you have advisors that becomes relevant. So let's hire some advisors. Right. I forgot. Advisors are different. They changed advisors. So these are a cynic, a loyalist, an idealist. They all give corruption and bureaucratic influence. No. Cynic gives aristocratic influence. Okay. Ignore the advisor test and privilege design modifiers for now. Fair enough. Okay, so again, we have the same 3. No, here we have sycophant, idealist. Okay, I'm gonna need a spreadsheet. Or just a list of what all the different ones are. So now when you hire advisors, it's a bit less about hiring them for their bonuses, because their bonuses, aren't much. It's mostly just about the monarch stuff. Advisors are still very much work in progress. Okay, good to know. We won't worry about those for 2 now. You'll only care about the monarch point and their affiliation. Right, so right now... And the affiliation is just shown by who they're backing. So these guys... Oh, right, and of course I can see it here. This guy is a spirit... This guy is... And if we... I assume they relate to elites. This one. No, because there's no tribal elite. Or is that just because I don't have any tribals in this region? There we go. Clan. Okay. They relate to factions. Okay. And do members of various elites... I will look at Bolu because they have some clans there. Do members of the various elites always back their faction? Like the aristocratic faction, is that just all the nobles? Or is it more complicated than that? I presume it's like that because I don't think there's any tracking within the different ones. So that'd be really interesting. So you can try and build just like a... you could try and expropriate... Appropriate. What is expropriate? I feel like that is a word. Anyway, you could just try and appropriate like all the stuff that the nobles own and give it all to the clergy and create like a total spiritualistic theocracy. I assume that would be bad. I assume the different elites, you know, are good at various things. Like presumably we can raise more troops from the nobles. Anyway, I said we'd talk about tax a long time ago. So let's have a look at tax. We are not going to stream for a hugely much longer length of time. There isn't too much interplay between factions and elites right now, though the amount of faction influence ticks according to elite power in your country. Good to know. So, tax. Tax is a new cool system. I'm going to try and talk quieter. My voice is going already. At the moment, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 14 kinds of tax which generate income, of cash income that is, and 6 that generate manpower. I believe in terms of what you get, it is just that simple. We can change these manually using the building macro builder, which has got a nice new interface since yesterday. Oh, not since yesterday, since the day before yesterday, or whenever that was uploaded, but since yesterday from our perspective. Nice. Very cool. I like it. So we can set how much maintenance we want to do. And we can invest. Industry is equal to the size of the property it uses, no more, no less. So if we invest into the commercial... Can I scroll this? Yes. Cool. Build castles, and we can select using a UI building. Cool. Let's look at what investing does. Investing into commercial will expand all color matching industries. Okay. Purple industries. But I can't click on a province when I have the macro builder open because they don't want you to accidentally click on armies when you're trying to train troops and things. Color matching industries. So that's commerce in this case. There's commerce there. Yeah. Okay. No mention of versatile luxury cloth. Oh, this is just continuing, so the total doesn't get too ludicrously high. Okay. So if we invested in commercial infrastructure in Bursa, we would expand all color matching industries, increasing labor demand, leading to higher wages, and as such, encourage population to migrate into the residence class to work the newly available jobs. Commerce is volatile. Investment should be carefully considered in times of low treasury funding. Low provincial corruption and higher state reach increases the efficiency of investment, leading to less wastage of treasury funds. Okay, it's worth considering the risk of overinvestment in property, which can saturate demand and wages, leading to economic difficulty. Every 30 ducats, even 30 ducats, can provide breathing room in average population provinces, 10 to 100,000 people, when boosting state property shares. Okay, so what we want to do is boost our share of profitable industry in regions where it would not generate an overburdening on the local. We need to find places where there's unemployment, and then that's a good place for us to buy up to invest, which is kind of like building new whatever they are in this case. So for commerce, we're building new, not toll posts, but like trading posts and things like that. Okay. And maybe some dockyards and things. Well, I suppose that might come under harbourage infrastructure. And there's no connection between between industry and infrastructure. So it's not like increasing ship production increases the number of units of harbourage infrastructure, I believe. Okay. So let's think a bit about how these things are produced, because that is correct. Okay, thank you. Investment in infrastructure is done both by us and by local elites, I believe. Only local elites? I think actually, this is a thing worth noting. Elites are the only ones with money, right? With money they actually spend on, they kind of spend in a palpable way. Is that right? Or do the members of the population also have tracked money? And how does that work? Do they also spend it on projects, or are they only spending it on their life, comfort, luxury needs? They must have, yeah, they must have some kind of tracked money because they're buying goods to meet their needs. One page further. Right, yeah, okay. So, yes, that's right. Populations, they earn wages from employment. They make money from property, sometimes. They consume it, and they invest it. Okay, okay. And when they invest, what are you investing in, you guys? I assume they're investing in infrastructure and industry, or do they just invest in... Oh, wait, that's right. Infrastructure and industry are like one and the same. Kind of. I need to read this tooltip again. It's so very clear, but industry is equal to the size of the property it uses. But units. Where do I see units of infrastructure? That must be in here. These are units of infrastructure, but they're using the property icon. Industry is not infrastructure. So when it says there are 71 units of commercial, that's how I'm reading this. So there's 71 units of commercial infrastructure, and the industry has a size of 71. Yeah. I feel like I don't have the brain power to look at this today. Industry. When property is able to expand, increasing space for any corresponding industry. This just to try constant maintenance. If you want the province industry and not the industry, there's a page in infrastructure offer for that. Infrastructure fund. Okay. Here we go. Size max. So this is the units of infrastructure. Right now, there's 13 out of 15 up arrow. Don't know what that means. Actually, that's the max? Yeah. And then there's also... I'm not sure this is finished. It says size max brackets income, but there's nothing in brackets. Okay. So right now, there's 38 out of 64, which gives rank 3 harborage. Okay. That makes sense. Pathing, 49 out of 71, which gives level 3 pathing. Okay. And uses raw industrial. The slash number is what unit count until it reaches the next level. Okay. And if it reaches 0, it decays a level? Okay, so it shouldn't say size slash max in the top right of this tooltip. That's just not done yet. Fair enough. Right, because the 15 up arrow is 15, then it upgrades. Okay, okay. Understood. I did think it was odd that there would already be 49 out of 71 of the maximum possible roads in Bursa in the 14th century. Okay, interesting. Then you have state investment and maintenance spending. And maintenance spending is done by elites and population? Or just population, maybe. Not sure. Not sure I can look at elite spending right now. Okay, and then... Okay, so we can see the stuff being... we can see the stuff being generated here. We have lots of things. Military, luxury, fuel, urban, No, that's labor. So in terms of the goods being produced, I think this is a total list. I think this is all of the goods. I could be wrong, but I think so. So if we look at industry, and we look at the input-output, consumer, luxury, fiber, industrial, luxury. Well, output's industrial. Is that one of these? Yes. Okay. Interesting. Now, knowledge is an interesting good. I wonder how that plays into like tech generation and spread. Let's look at these. Yeah, so... Right, okay. Let's talk about tax, because for God's sake, I've been trying to talk about tax for ages. There's different taxes. I honestly feel like my brain is not functioning well enough for this right now. I think we're going to stop the stream in not very long. But there's taxes, and you can have it delegated, and you can delegate certain regions, or you can delegate all of it. And I believe you can have separate delegations running in parallel. So if redelegation is on automatic, and we go with just selected provinces, and I selected these provinces, and then I also held some lands over here, and I selected these provinces. Your brain hurts too. Thank you. The solidarity. Then we could have it be happening automatically. How often? Yeah. Okay. And you can choose how much you spend, because now taxing costs mana. So using noble dues costs diplo power. The higher the noble dues being extracted, the more expensive. The cost is based on noble wealth. Noble in this context, I assume, means the population? Do you tax populations or elites or both? Or do you tax elites because they are part of the population? Not sure. And the cost can increase by up to 10 times by noble loyalty. The less loyal they are, the more it's going to cost to extract the money from them. And local autonomy. Okay. So if we wanted to change the noble dues, which look like this. Okay, and the cost... Okay, so the cost of different levels of noble dues is just based on noble wealth. It's the same. So if they're super loyal and very low autonomy, I think high dues and low dues cost the same amount, but only if they're super loyal and super low autonomy. If they're max loyal and zero autonomy. Generally, higher taxes will cost more. And the cost increase... that is 3x, 5x, 10x. Does that trend hold true? Looks like it. Okay, from low, medium, high. And you can also have none, remember. That's one of the options. So we can have inheritance tax, timber tax, land tax. Interesting. So we'll need to work out, in order to play this game effectively, to my mind, well, one thing you can do is just automate it. And I think this is one of the potential weaknesses of 3.0. It's the only one that I've kind of found concerning so far, which is that I don't want to delegate this. I don't want to just let the game make all these decisions for me, because then it might as well kind of not exist. Like you don't just want to let a script handle it, a script that I can't alter. Maybe I could if I learned how to code. I don't know how complicated the script is, but you want to be able to customize how your taxes work in your nation, based not only on what they cost, but on which parts of society you want to benefit. Like maybe you want to implement a really high land tax and benefit. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who that would benefit. But we can have a really high land tax and things like that. But you also can't do a lot of these taxes before you reform. Yeah, that makes sense. And we'll talk about reform on another day, because my brain can't handle it. We're going to reform the tax code. We're going to do a poll tax reform. Oh no, this is just changing it. A poll tax. I think this is just changing it globally. Is that what I was doing? Reform tax code is essential for benefits of a greater state. Almost always outweigh its negatives. But we must always keep in mind that as bureaucracy expands, our dependence on it increases accordingly. Alright, so that's a global change. That's not what I was looking at. We were looking at rights and reforms. Maybe not. On tax code. Because you do like the reforms of such and such a year. So if we wanted to encourage noble service, we would begin the reforms of 1357. And then we can have a whole bunch of... wait, what? Further reforms. Also end this. Enact reforms. Cool. So you choose a bunch of different reforms you want to be in part of the reforms of that year. And then you enact them. And they almost always annoy people. But you get the reforms of 15... Oh, the game is muted. I've just realized the game is muted. An hour in. It was a great success. Noble obligations have changed and military service has changed. Cool. A great success. And we will look into how that works. What did I miss? A few things. But mostly you miss me realizing I'm just too tired. Open new slots. In the current selection, new industries should... Within the current selection, open new industries should the conditions, surely, be met. A province, however, cannot have more than 12 different industries. Open new slots. Alright, well, let's select Bursa. Let's try and open a new industry in Bursa. We want a pasture. Nah, it's boring. Rock salt has a port. I think we already have salt industry, though. But no, we have sea salt. Okay. Oh, that is sea salt. Rock salt has salt deposit. I think you'd see that on natural features if it did. We want... A cash crop. Has temperature of 15 or higher. It's not in natural features. How do I tell the temperature? Terrain? Doesn't appear to be there. Game. Has any forest? Terrain. Infrastructure? Are forests in here? I feel like they are. There's forestry. It is under terrain, you just didn't see it. Oh yes, there it is. Average temperature. Okay, nice. So let's do some cash crops. Start a new industry. Cash crops. Did it do it? It did. Cash crop. Size 5. When it says size 5 there, does that map to the amount of property used for it? Where's my cash crop gone? There it is. Maybe we might need to unpause for it to actually start working. What kind of bonuses do they change / add to industries? Oh, it's not a change or an add. It's a huge difference. That's its property. Okay, so when I did that, what happened? Did I give it some of my state property or did I create 5 new property? And what kind of property is cash crop? Where does that fall under here? Guess it's a cash crop. It's a light orange, which makes it a farmland one. That makes a lot of sense. You have to wait for the next calculation for it to actually start doing stuff. Okay, okay. Terrain did say extra temperature? Yes, thank you, thank you. I did indeed miss it. Anyway, we're getting off track. We're talking about tax. So yes, I mean, basically, the way you interact with it at the moment is you automate it. And you can automate it to tax, so it costs you a certain amount. And then you hit delegate. And then it delegates the taxes for you. Cool. And it's done it for us. And it's caused some rebels. Interestingly. In Bursa. Why are you so mad, Bursa? I'm going to be pretty sure I can hover over this and it will tell me nothing helpful. No, it does tell me something helpful. Okay, I assumed it was just going to tell me, like, you know, a bunch of binary addition. But in fact, the high poll tax that this has just implemented, based on that automation. Poll tax. Poll tax. We'll learn all these eventually, of course. Tollage. Is tollage poll tax? No. What is it called? Tollage? Why do I think that was poll tax? I think I was reading it as pollage. Poll tax. Poll tax. A poll tax is just a cost per head, I think. Fixed rate per person for every single individual in the state can theoretically reach. Considering the large numbers of the poor, burden disproportionately falls on the masses. Cool. So it's done that. Yeah, cost per head. Porridge. So the problem with the automation is I can't say spend 15 but don't cause any unrest, which is what you need to be able to do. So I guess what you would have to do if you wanted to use the automation is automate it and then do some tax codes and say like, okay, we want, automate it, but don't do any crazy poll tax. We'll just do low poll tax. Oh, but low poll tax is actually going to raise it in quite a lot of places. Okay. So I suppose you just go none. We don't want any poll taxes. Okay. And then you'd have to redo that every year if you left the automation pulse on every year. The thing about the automation, I want to talk to a team member, not now, about how the automation works and if that's the long-term goal, to have the automation be tweakable, make it so that you can adjust it in a way that means you can actually, make it do what you want, not just make it do a default thing. And obviously you can have a default, but because without being able to tweak it, it really feels like the tax system is an extremely cool simulation that you can't interact with it. I suppose the way you would interact with it is by changing and influencing the things that result in the costs, which would then result in a change in what the automation did. But can you set different taxes on different provinces? You can, and so I selected Bursa, so that automation only applied to Bursa. But I could also, and we'll use the building selector just to try different ways, and then you see that it's built these little, what we just built were these huge pins. We have these selected. Now if we delegate the tax code, selected provinces, because this one is a toggleable, and you can do it via various things. Delegate. It now has delegated the taxes in all of these areas. Interesting that it didn't increase the poll taxes here this time. Why would this be? Is it because when you delegate taxes, it does it for all of them on the same logic? They are all the same. No, they're not. These ones are different. Okay. Interesting. In 1357, suddenly aliens threw pins at the Earth. Yeah. Then the yearly tax code delegation event is for the entire nation. I don't know. I presume the yearly tax code delegation is for the same provinces. But maybe not, because that would mean it was creating a whole bunch of different events, like one for each set of selected provinces. It gets the most amount of value for your delegated mana cost out of all of the provinces. Yeah, which is not always what you want. That means you can't have trade-offs by like, okay, I'm going to screw the tribes. I'm basically just going to max tax the tribes until they don't exist anymore, because I want to kill out the tribes, the tribals in Bolu and things like that, which is the kind of fine-tuning that you'd want to be able to do. But anyway, I'm going to have a longer conversation about like what the intended goal is for that and how it can, where it's likely to go in the future, because ideally the automation is like a complicated savable setup that says like, okay, for this region I want to be taxing up to X cost. And the other thing about it is, what if I want to, go gentle on an area to allow local prosperity to flourish without me taking away all their money? Like if I'm trying to foster economic growth in Izmit, I have to yearly, manually decrease the rent dues in Izmit. It seems tough. The yearly tax event have a provinces or entire nation instead of selected? Yeah, so I would like to know that. The yearly event here, the way I read this is the yearly event will fire based on the provinces specified by your clicking delegate. So if you had these selected and these selected with two different levels of spending selected, it would fire for each of them and maintain those two different levels of spending. But the thing is that, yeah, as I've mentioned, levels of spending is not the only thing you want to modify. You have to ask Fire Katana how it actually works. Yeah, that's fine. Fair enough. Totally understandable. Division of labor, and is always an efficient way. What is that pin? Is one of those pins from one of these provinces? Because this one is selected, but there's no pin in it. Interesting. The bots are back, so they are. Anyway, we won't worry about that too much for now. So that's taxes. What else? Why is the garrison not the actual number? I guess it's just building up to it. Yeah, that's probably it. So that's taxes, and they affect, lots of stuff. So like, where do we want to get our troops from? Where do we want to get our money from? And remember that when you're getting troops, you're taking men out of the workforce. There's no genders in this game, right? Everyone is just a person. I think. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, you're taking, people out of the workforce when you do these things. And of course the numbers, are abstractions which probably only refer to, well, do they only refer to like people who can work? So are kids in these numbers and things like that? I'm not sure. Well, that's because the labor value is extrapolated, but the only thing that matters for is for fighting. Okay. Cool. But so what you need to remember is that when you draw taxes, where you draw them from will have a huge impact on your society. And that's my concern about the automation, is that having control over where you are drawing your tax from is a hugely impactful societal decision. Who you decide to levy the wealth with which you will then reinvest. It affects, it cuts to the very root of the function of tax in a good for functioning society, which is, to a certain extent, and this is a political view, but whatever, is redistribution of wealth. So if it doesn't need to be redistribution from the rich to the poor. It could be from the poor to the rich. It could be from the peasants to the industrial workers. It could be, all kinds of different forms of redistribution. But that's only possible if the player has control over either the operation of the automation or does it manually. So, and it seems that this system would not be possible to do manually, simply because you'd have to do it province by province or globally, and the needs in different provinces are different, so doing it globally doesn't work. But the building categories are the same as 1.5. No, there are no buildings. There are no buildings anymore. There is now infrastructure, which is done in units, and there is property, which is done in units of property. And then the property is used to do all kinds of stuff, and ownership over property represents the infrastructure. Same infrastructure categories. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Only real buildings you build? Yeah. So the forts are still there because they're kind of hard coded in as the way that zone of control works. Cool. I'm going to stop streaming here. Hour and 10. Not a bad stream. My brain can't hack it right now. It's only, what time is it? It's not late. Okay, it's always 10. It's not early. But my brain just can't hack it. I'm still very excited about 3.0. We're gonna do lots more of looking, and I may do some more playing in 2.5. I may just pause the campaign while I make some tutorials. We will see. Either way, I will see you all next turn. You're not alone in having difficulty in understanding. I'm sure I'm not, but it's not just that I'm having difficulty. It's that I'm kind of finding it tiring and abrasive to try and understand, whereas what I want to do is relish in my ignorance, as I did yesterday, and as I'm sure I will do again. But thank you very much all for watching. Do follow on Twitch, or if you want to see next time I go live. I can't even talk properly, I'm too tired. I did have quite a long day at work today. I will see you all next time, which I don't know is when that is, but we shall see.